market's huge. It's valued to be around $37 billion in 2016, $6 billion of which is coming from the United States. It features a compound annual growth rate of 3.5% globally and 1.8% in the US. So it's been showing some steady moderate growth for some time now, and that's projected to continue. This market's not affected by economic volatility fluctuations. If people run into financial troubles, they're still going to keep using their oral hygiene products. This market can be broken down into 5 segments: toothpaste, toothbrushes, mouthwash, dental floss, and denture care. And if you look at the former four, excluding denture care, you're looking at about $34 billion in 2016 going to be spent on these items. And what these are used for is all one goal, and that's to retroactively remove dental plaque from your teeth. And what dental plaque really is, it's a community of bacteria. So what happens, you have bacteria growing in your mouth, and you wake up in the morning and you use these primitive tools to kind of clean them away. But instantly the bacteria start growing back, and they're releasing acid, and they're releasing toxins, and all this stuff that's real bad for your mouth. This is happening for hours on end until you're ready to go to sleep at night. You clean your mouth again, and then instantly bacteria are growing back. It's going overnight. This is an incredibly repetitive process, and it's very annoying. And it's not effective. And I'm going to tell you it's not effective because over half of adults in America have some form of gum disease. We also get cavities, and a whole lot of them. 5 million cavities per year worldwide. In fact, 1 in every 5 Americans has a cavity that is untreated, which is a problem because as these infections linger on, patients become much more predisposed to more serious systemic health issues such as diabetes, osteoporosis, obesity, rheumatoid arthritis, respiratory illnesses, pregnancy complications, as well as a whole bunch of heart diseases. In fact, a recent study has shown that 85% of people who suffer from a heart attack also have some form of gum disease. This is a big problem, and we're going to fix this through this revolutionary technology that we call dental defense. What dental defense is, it's these vesicles, these particles, and like most vesicles, they can hold something. But what makes these vesicles special is 3 reasons. 1, it's an FDA-approved all-natural material. 2, they're incredibly small. And 3, they have this very special property that they don't like to float around in liquid. They like to find a solid surface, and they like to stick to it. When they get there, they can release their contents. And the contents in this case is this natural compound that, when consumed by bacteria, I tend to make the analogy, it's kind of like caffeine for bacteria. It makes them want to keep swimming around and wants them to not be lazy and form a dental plaque. It's very good for us because then we can just very easily rinse away this bacteria. So again, what we have, an FDA-approved, non-toxic, natural product vesicle that forms a thin film over your teeth and gums, acting like a shield. It also releases a natural compound that discourages acid release and plaque formation by bacteria. Some product models we see this being used in is simply an oral rinse, just like the mouthwash you used this morning, but that's only working for the 30 seconds that you're actually using it. Our product's going to leave behind a film that is going to keep fighting against bacteria way after you spit your mouthwash out. We also see this being used in a toothpaste. A lot of toothpaste companies like to advertise that they have additives, other technologies, to make their toothpaste better than their competitors. Our technology is going to make that toothpaste that much better. We also think this could be used by dentists. So you go to your dentist and you get your professional cleaning regimen done. And your mouth is at the cleanest point it's going to be all year long. This is the perfect time for a dentist to put this film on and leave that patient more resistant to bacterial attack for weeks, months, and so on. These films have shown to maintain the integrity in the lab for over 6 weeks, which is something that's going to be very appealing to the dental community. In fact, we reached out to over 20 dentists across New York, 23 dentists across New York, and we wanted to get some feedback. Dr. Philip Smith told us this would be extremely useful, extremely beneficial. I would absolutely recommend it to my patients. Dr. Douglas Smale emphasized a smaller population that this would be absolutely crucial for. That's the nursing home community. Due to understaffing, these residents don't get their teeth cleaned as often as they should. He also pointed out dementia patients don't like objects going in their mouth, people reaching in their mouth, so they don't get their mouths cleaned as often as they should. This kind of technology would be absolutely imperative for these populations. We've also reached out and been in contact with Crest, Sensodyne, and Johnson & Johnson, taking me back to the oral hygiene market. It's dominated by 4 huge firms: Colgate-Palmolive, Procter & Gamble, GlaxoSmithKline, and Johnson & Johnson. And for a product to be successful in this area, it needs to be flanked by heavy marketing. It also is pretty decently regulated by the FDA, which would be threats to us if we actually intended to compete with these firms head-to-head, but that's not what we intend to do. We want to make them our customers through either licensing this technology to them, chemical or ingredient supply, or a combination of the 2. We think that this is something they'd be interested in because this is a highly competitive market, and the way these firms compete is through innovation. What they innovate towards is to make their products better, more effective, greener, and safer. Our technology fits that criteria perfectly. So I'm going to show you where we're at in technical development. We have identified these natural plaque inhibitors, these compounds, and we have studied the underlying way they work, the biological reasoning. We have also done biocompatibility studies to show that they're safe, and we have synthesized our vesicles down to the extremely small size scale that we want them to be, where they're going to be the most effective. What we're doing now is we're optimizing, we're tweaking our formula for a viable commercial product, and then once we get that, we're going to reconfirm the biocompatibility. After that, we're going to integrate some consumer desired substances. People like flavors in their mouthwash or their toothpaste. They like whiteners. We're going to put these substances in to make our product or our technology more consumer friendly, more consumer appealing. So I took you through the technical steps. We're going to have a finished product in under 2 years, and we're going to have this prototype without the flavorings and stuff like that in just over a year. Throughout this whole process, we've emphasized biocompatible materials and natural, non-toxic materials. That way, any FDA regulation or approval that may occur, we're going to have a much easier transition through. We've also been working with the IP incubator here at the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering to develop our business plan. Just recently, we formed a limited liability company. We've been pursuing funding through various outlets, including government funding agencies. We have NIH funding that lays the foundation for this research, and we're right now applying for an SBIR through the NSF. We're also pursuing funding through business plan competitions such as this, which is going to help a lot. Later on in the development, we want to go to trade shows, conferences, stuff like that, to try to identify strategic partners. And throughout this whole process, we have to manage and expand our IP protection. So right now, we have tech disclosure on the use of these natural product compounds in this application, and we're also working right now towards expanding that to include the delivery method that I proposed to you just a minute ago. So now I'm going to introduce you to my team. I'm Steve Casper, the CEO. I have a bachelor's in biochemistry and molecular biology. My partner, Gary Roth, COO, he has a master's in environmental health and toxicology. The two of us are both PhD candidates here at the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering. We have multiple scientific advisors working with us on this venture whose scientific expertise matches or complements the research perfectly, including Professor Katie, who's an expert in nanotechnology and microbiology, the intersection of those fields. Professor Musa is an expert in natural product synthesis and analysis. These two professors currently have the underlying NIH funding that relates directly to the identification of these compounds, as well as studying the way they work. Professor Magnus Bergqvist is an expert in nanoparticle synthesis, drug encapsulation, and delivery strategies. We've also been working with Professor Haldar and the IP incubator to develop our business plan. We're trying to take this technology and this great science from what we're doing in the lab upstairs, put it into a real product that everyone in this room can use one day. We also have access to all the resources here at the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering. That includes the world-class metrology equipment, state-of-the-art nanotechnology tools, and unsurpassed faculty. So with that said, I'd be happy to take any questions if you have questions.
Just a reminder, the Q&A is for the judges only. If you go on the app and go to the team's page and click the team's name, you can send them feedback, and they'll get all that feedback directly. You've got some questions for us.
So your approach is to cover the teeth and the gums with some kind of product.
Yes.
What about all the products that already exist that reduce the stickiness of the, what is it called?
Salivary pellicle?
Yeah, there's a lot of products that already do that.
I'm not aware of those, and I'm not sure what the purpose of those are.
To stop the stickiness so it doesn't create plaque.
Oh, okay. So I actually know. So there's chlorhexidine and there's delmophenol hydrochloride. These are both not natural materials. They are both pretty toxic, and chlorhexidine is the only one that's really effective. Delmophenol is not very effective. Chlorhexidine is effective, and there's a lot of excitement around it years ago, decades ago. But it turns out it's toxic to people, and it also stains teeth because the way it works, it kills bacteria, and the cellular debris of the dead bacteria gets caught in all the little crevices of your mouth, and it stains your teeth a little yellow. So it's actually a prescription drug now that is only used for people with severe gingivitis, stuff like that. And there's delmophenol, which is not very effective, and it also has reported tingling irritation with the use of it.
I think it's also valid to point out that our mechanism of action is actually quite different than those, so it would actually separate our product very effectively.
Is it a mechanism of action or is it coating the teeth and protecting it?
It's coating the teeth, protecting it, and it's also going to have a release of this natural product compound that discourages further attack from more bacteria.
So you've got this tiny little vesicle into which you put the active compound, and then it releases slowly over time.
Yes.
The vesicle breaks down.
Yep, correct. So, you want to take this over?
Sure. So what we've got is actually two different products. That our initial product, one of them has been approved by FDA and is considered generally recognized as safe, which is about as good, the best designation you can get. Doesn't really need anything further. The other is actually protected under a different act, and thus is not really subjected to approval by the FDA, provided that it's used in a particular way. So as long as we include the general, if we include it as a supplement item, we can actually, we expect, bypass FDA approval completely and include it as a supplement with the appropriate disclaimer that these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. If we choose to go down that road later on to get the FDA approval and therefore perhaps further enhance our product strength, we have that option.
And then for the 450,000 you're looking for, what are you looking to give away?
That would be something we'd have to discuss later, but yeah.
You've indicated and shown quotes from dentists.
Yes.
You also show the 4 companies that are dominant in the marketplace.
Yes.
Have you had any contact with any of those 4 companies?
We reached out to them. We've gotten a little bit of feedback back. They're very hard to get in touch with someone who makes real decisions in that company. They have expressed interest in this type of product, though. We haven't gotten any further than that, but we are working on it right now.
Any other questions from the judges?
What can you say about what's actually been done to demonstrate the effectiveness in any kind of test labs or
Okay.
test applications?
So yeah, so a lot of the companies like Colgate, they outsource their testing of new compounds to academic labs. We actually collaborate with one more research environment, not having to do with this. And they do it through these microfluidic flow cells with hydroxyapatite surfaces that mimic the tooth surface and saliva-based media. We have our own assays that we can do up in the labs upstairs that are very closely to the system, and this is our results. This is just one of our compounds treated with one of the bacteria cultures treated with the compound, and here you see without the compound, you can see significant reduction in bacterial growth. And this is more quantifying information. So anything above